First of all, I would really like to thank the entire Dialogues team for helping me put together presentation and my team as well. I'm struggling with traveling a lot for work and really feel that I'm not prepared well. So pardon me if there is any glitches in the presentation. Um, the topic of my presentation today, when I got to know from the team Dialogues that we have to talk about synergy, I really wanted to take a step forward and talk about how we look at synergy while we are practicing architecture. So really looking at it from a practice perspective. A lot of you present here in the audience today know me from my architecture childhood days. When I say architecture childhood, I mean I have been part of a legacy firm, and I have to admit that when I joined my father's practice, it was very intimidating in terms of how the large scale projects were being looked at. And through my journey of the last 15 years, I've understood that architecture and the practice that we do is not just about creating built environments, but also looking at how design can be a tool of unlocking value for our clients and customers. So as designers, we wear many hats, shaping ideas into reality. These are some of the images of my site visits and interactions. We are dreamers, we are designers, we are mediators, business strategists and enablers of smooth operations. A lot of times we are collaborating with our consultants, brand ambassadors, we are collaborating with business strategists, financial assessment creators, and really the projects that take shape are not a vision of pure dream and design. It's a vision created by a collaborative effort. The first project I want to talk about is a project which is very dear to my heart. It's a resort in Jaipur, which is very close from here. We completed this project in close to about 10 years' time. From when it started to when it got completed, I saw how a project is looked at through the lens of pride, profit and pleasure. So our client had an industrial plot in Jaipur where they wanted to create something for their own brand, their own pride. And through the project process, they tied up with a brand and how they started realizing that it can become a valuable proposition to unlock profit. And eventually it opened up in a manner of creating pleasure. So really looking at how we empathize, define, ideate, prototype and test our projects. When we look at different type of project scenarios, whether it is a shopping complex, whether it is a hotel, whether it is a residential building or creating facades, it's all creating part as a whole and whole as a part, where we are looking at individual units and how they multiply to become a bigger picture in reality. This is one of the initial renders of Western Resort and Spa, wherein the clients wanted it to be very tropical, very Balinese and not Jaipur. And this is how the project reality took shape. I must say that throughout the life cycle of the project, it was a bit of a challenge because, convincing clients to do something, what you ideate, and then how it eventually takes shape is a long journey. And when I say 10 years, I really understood how with each decision making of whether it is master planning, whether it is unit design, selection of materials, and eventually putting it all together was a great learning experience for me, not just as an architect, but as a business partner to my client. When I say business partner, I'm not earning money out of it. It's understanding their perspective as a business proposition. Another interesting project I'm going to show you is a recent project where I'm working with two young guys who have just come back from America, and they want to set up a eco resort and an eco farm villa concept. This is in Nasik. It's close to about 60 acres, where they want to bring in the concepts of Vedic farming, Vedic rituals, and also kind of create an environment where families can relocate to these farm villas and embrace farming as a culture. A lot of times we get asked around by our clients to kind of come up with strategies on how we can utilize a land. And that's one of the places where I've realized that we need to understand the site, yes, but also create a program for our clients so that it becomes a profitable venture for them. So really starting from the basics of looking at the site, setting, understanding the contours, and coming up with various options of what should be the right mix of villas versus the resort, what should be the sizing of the villas, what could be the right vision for these kind of master plan variations is something that we really enjoy doing at our studio. So this is one example where we quickly churned out 7-8 options for them without getting too much into detail, but giving them ideas on what their land can actually be unleashed for in the market. So similarly, another project is another resort coming up near Nasik and Pune, which is Karjat. Here also we were given an a clean slate of land parcel wherein the clients wanted to understand what could be the ideal product mix. So keeping and they wanted to create like a very palatial, very French environment. So how do we look at the product mix for the right ROI is something we work together with them and with the brand. What should be the right mix of conferences, what should be the right amount of unit sizes, villas. So these exercises have really taught me and my team to look at the architecture projects in a very different light, wherein we are not just presenting visuals of visions to our clients, but also giving them an option to understand what value they earn out of it. These are some of, how can actually our projects become long-term assets and not just architecture marvels. How can they really be timeless? How can they be adaptive? How can they really become profitable business ventures? While we were looking at projects where where I spoke about synergy amongst land and business viability, this project, which is in Delhi, a very dense urban environment of Karol Bagh, it's a 40-acre land parcel where we worked together with Binoy London to create a master plan. And here I would like to talk about synergy with bylaws, synergy with requirements of the land as an asset in the industry. Delhi, as you know, the land prices are going high, not as comparable to Mumbai, but in central Delhi it's really high. And where we looked at how the bylaws can help us create these landmark projects. Interestingly, we were allowed to create high-rise structures here. So we have recently completed this project with Delhi's highest residential towers. Here, the bylaws mandated us to create a fire refuge area, which we used as an opportunity to create a necklace all around the towers and connected all the towers together. So the reason I'm highlighting this aspect is that doesn't necessarily mean that high rises and dense urban structures need to look boring, but how can we look at these restrictions in design of bylaws, of unit sizes, repetitiveness, and create something marvelous out of it. This project is really appreciated in the market right now and has kind of elevated its surrounding areas, land prices and asset prices as well. As we are known in the industry for doing retail spaces and residential spaces, a very interesting trend coming up in the market is of retail with branded residences. We've been fortunate to be working with both private players and brands to kind of look at something which is visionary. Here we got an opportunity to really understand how dense, in a very dense sort of a pocket, we could create a very mixed use, multi-layered kind of an environment where we have retail spaces on the lower floors, we have clubhouses, amenities, and the residential towers. With branded residences, what we have learned is that it's not just about providing the amenities, but it is also about creating a vision for the owners, and also creating a brand value in the market. And I mean, I cannot even tell you how much every owner, every client is now being interested in this concept and wants to explore it even further. So these are some of the visuals of that. Flexible retail environments is also another aspect that we have been working on, wherein people want flexibility between high street retail and adaptive usage of retail environments, wherein these urban plazas can be used for various occasions throughout the year. So how these retail environments can be more flexible and at the same time create opportunity for it to be mixed with a hotel or a residential apartment or a branded residence is something we are very actively working on nowadays. I just showed some of our private projects, but as a practice and as a person myself, I'm very passionate about working with the government. And we have been fortunate to also get projects wherein the government wants to reposition themselves in various aspects. We gave presentations for Udaipur Airport. Our designs were selected, and we are fortunate to be opening this project very soon this year. So Udaipur Airport, the vision was to create not something which is very magnanimous, but something which is functional to look at, but from the inside, the interior spaces could be very art oriented, retail oriented. So the idea was to understand how much retail is good enough for a project like an airport in an Indian setting. Are people willing to buy? Are people willing to eat, shop? So we worked closely with Anarock consultants to create feasibility reports. We looked at what is the peak hour population calculations. Till such time I hadn't even heard of the word of peak hour calculation, but you know, really understanding how many people, the footfall, and what is the impact of it on design was a great learning experience for me and my team. And really, you know, creating examples of how we could maneuver through retail spaces is something I learned on this project. And I must share that it is very well appreciated, and we are fortunate it's going to open very soon. Railway stations is another such example. I mean, pardon the red color because this is the minister's choice where we had to change the facade. But you know, sometimes we have to also kind of work around choices of the ministers and the bureaucracy. But railway stations, another example wherein we looked at how our building structures can capitalize on the footfall and really create a very thriving environment for its users. This project is also under construction and will finish very soon. The reason why I'm showing these projects is to also substantiate the fact that it's not just the private players who are looking at design as a tool for unlocking business, but the government is also shifting their mindset and is keen to understand more of these ideas from designers like us over here. One example very close to my heart is this project we did for Land Port Authority of India. This is an organization which not many people know of. They create ports and land ports on border areas. So we worked with them very closely on this land port, the integrated check post in Sabroom, which is close to Tripura and Agartala. The reason why I'm showing this diagram is that, you know, the red dot of ICP Sabroom Tripura is giving an opportunity to unlock business for the entire Northeast, which is currently not being capitalized on right now. So the Land Port Authority chairman wanted us to create something unique in terms of visuals, in terms of identity, and really see how can that become an opportunity for them to really position themselves and attract trade in this region. So we recently completed this project also. I mean, a lot of these projects wherein government work is involved, they don't tend to complete totally, but they tend to open up. So, you know, they might look unfinished, but I'm very happy that we were able to convince them to do something very geometric, very out of the box, and not looking like a palace or you know, or a museum, and this is the aerial view. So what you see on the left is the friendship bridge between Bangladesh and India, and how the entire master plan kind of weaves in together, and we have warehouses, cargo buildings, and an integrated check post where close to about 5,000 people travel every day from India to Bangladesh through this check post. So thank you so much, everyone. I think with this, I'm open to discussions, and really would like to understand if, you know, if we can talk about how really we can collaborate on business opportunities, and also if anybody wants to understand how we work with the government, I'm open to having a discussion on that. Thank you so much.